Keyonte George is getting so much better, and he's so close. But there's one thing he's got to solve if he's going to be a viable NBA player. It's next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Give you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps, as well as a free daily newsletter. Sign up by going to lockedondaily.com and get your Jazz in your inbox every single day as well. All right, here's what we've got planned for you on today's show. Deep dive on Keyonte George. The premise, he's so close. He's getting so much better. There's so much there. There's a lot to love. But there's a real problem that has to get solved. And I'm going to try to dive in to how to solve it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to dig into the numbers because that's what makes me happy. But truly, I think it tells a story of his improvement, where he's getting better, how he's progressing, some things like that. And then we're going to look at his shots in the last two games. He's 2 of his last 15 against Cleveland, and the other night against Memphis. He's 2 of his last 15. And what's happened there? And we're going to look at his shot selection, because the key to Keyonte George's future success is getting rid of bad nights. And then if we have time and it permits, we're going to look at Houston and try to figure out if they're a contender. All right, Keyonte's moved to the bench this year, and he's better off the bench than he was as a starter, but not dramatically, honestly. His true shooting percentage, which includes free throw shooting, and that's the difference, is 56%, and his was, as a starter, it was 53%. Okay, both 56% is okay. And the difference is that he's actually going to the free throw line, because as a starter, he shot 39% from the field. And as a bench player, he's shooting 40% from the field. As a starter, he shot 35% from three. And as a reserve, he's shooting 34% from three. His usage rate is really close. He's playing the exact same amount of minutes. He's just playing more minutes when he's in the bonus, because he's coming off the bench, which is what the great six men, Lou Williams and all the other, figured out in this league, is if I come off the bench and they're in foul trouble, I can get to the free throw line. And Keyonte's done a great job of that this year. So there's the first positive, is that Key has become a little less dependent on his jump shot and all of that by going to the free throw line. He has now played this year 32 games as a starter, 26 as a reserve. So 6 more games as a starter, but he has taken 135 free throws as a reserve and 112 free throws as a starter. So that's the big difference. Fundamentally, he's better coming off the bench because he gets to the free throw line. He also is turning the ball over far less. 96 turnovers as a starter, 63 as a reserve. So good signs of progress right there. Here's another one that's kind of neat about Keyonte. Last year, Keyonte shot, his catch and shoot was at 37%. Really pretty good for a rookie. Catch and shoot 37%. So for whatever reason this year, it has dipped a tiny bit. That doesn't really bother me. It's probably a fundamental issue with feet or something of that sort, something probably rather fixable. And the fact that he had the touch to be a pretty good three-point shooter in his first year on a catch and shoot helps him. He is a great corner three shooter. Okay. We'll get to that in a second, but that's really where that stems from. I'm checking this, by the way, because the numbers just looked a little silly to me there for a second. So this last in 23-24, Keyonte on catch and shoots was, this is what I knew that sounded wrong. Last year in catch and shoots, Keyonte was 32%. So that's really bad. This year in catch and shoots, he's 38%. I knew I had it backwards. Thank you for sticking with me there. So last year, Keyonte was 32% on catch and shoots, which is pretty ugly. It was probably one of the worst in the NBA. And on this year, he's 38%. So there you see a fundamental change, fixing his feet, getting it right, being able to figure out how to make that shot. And he's great on corner threes, which we'll get to in a second. Last year, what was unique about Keyonte was he was pretty good on the pull-up three, 34.5%. Not great. League average is like 35, but not bad. This year, that's dipped to 32%. Okay, that's not great. But he made it the year before, so that's in there. That, to me, is a really good sign. And then, if you start to go look in and dig in a little bit, in the last 2 months, that 32% off the bounce three is back up to 35% where it was a year ago. And his catch and shoot is at 37%. So we're beginning to see the little pieces come together. That's really positive. So if he can be a 35% off the bounce three-point shooter, that's pretty good. And I bet, just time you'll become 36. You'll just become stronger. You'll have a better base. You'll become fundamental. You just get a little better. Like you're in your second year in the league. And if you're a 37, 38% catch and shoot three-point shooter, okay, that's really good. So there it is. Pieces are coming together. The thing that's happened is he's beginning to find some spots on the floor. That's part of your natural progression as a player, is that you begin to pick up little bits of pieces of how and where you're going to make shots. So first off, I mentioned the corner three. He's great. He's 33 of 63 on corner threes. So get as coming off the bench, playing off the ball a little bit, get to the corner, be available. You're deadly there. Here's what's interesting. I think all of us who've watched him this year have begun to see this angle right, off the bounce, come off the pick, toward the sideline, coming to your right, high right three, and he's nailing it. For the year, he's actually not very good at that spot. So I had to dig into some numbers because I was like, okay, he's beginning to get this. So angle right three, he's actually at 29% for the year. But since February 1st, he's 36%. And since the All-Star break, he's 15 of his last 33. Okay, there's another sign that things are going right for Keyonte. 15 of 33 on high angle right, usually off the bounce three. That's close to 50%. Prior to February 1st, he was at 24% on that shot. He and Chris Jones, his assistant coach, have worked on this and gotten better at it and figured something out. This is terrific. Okay, so that's great. So the angle right three we're beginning to see out of him is just terrific. The angle left three he takes, it's 32%. That's not good. It's been 32% all year, every section of the season. 32% on a three angle left, that's bad. I don't know if it's because he wants to be coming to his right and he needs that open space. I don't know the reason. I'm not good enough. I'll check and talk to some people today to see what I can find out. But the 32% is not great. And he's 11 of his last 34, which just fits right into the 30. I mean, you can go, I did it. I went through every segment, tried to find little gaps. 32% angle left. Here's a really interesting one. He's the 10th best transition three-point shooter in the NBA. I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you. I'll try to summarize here in a minute. He's the 10th best transition three-point shooter in the NBA. 18 of 38. Okay? On the move, this guy can really shoot it. That's a really big skill to have. It really opens up doors to you. Okay, one final thing here. So the first thing I've kind of have here for you, starter, reserve, really, really similar numbers, but he goes to the free throw line more, makes him better. He has shown both the ability to make catch and shoots and the ability to make off the bounce. He just hasn't done them at the same time yet, but that's fine. He's a young player. It all comes together. Corner three is where the catch and shoot is so deadly. He has discovered this angle right play off the bounce. The angle left still ugly. Here's the other area where he's developed. Now, let's be totally honest about where he was coming from. Last year on the pick and roll, he averaged 0.88 points per pick and roll. And this year he's averaging 0.96. So 0.88 to 0.96. That's a big jump. Before, I just want to be clear and honest about this. I'm not trying to be a homer. I get accused of being a homer. I always laugh because it's like, I don't think anyone's more transparent. So of the top 91 guys who ran pick and rolls last year, he ranked 90th. Of the top 60 guys who ran pick and rolls last year, he ranked 60th. He was last in the NBA in pick and roll efficiency. Okay, it wasn't the greatest collection of people around him for pick and roll either last year, right? Like Walker wasn't super. We didn't really have another big. Omer Yurtseven's not a very good pick and roll big. We can give him a little bit of a pass. This year, he's moved himself into like the 33rd percentile. Of the top 90, he's 60th. Of the top 60, he's 47th. Okay? Still not great, but it's a good level of improvement. there's a ton of things that are trending in the right direction for Keyonte George. There is one thing that has to change. In 41% of the basketball games that he has played this year, he has shot 33% or worse. You just can't have it. 41%. Almost every other night he steps on the floor, he shoots 33% or below. He has shot 30% or below in 16 of 58 games and 33% or below in 24 of 58 games. Why? We're looking at it next, and I think it's shot selection. We'll dig in and look at his last two games and the 15 shots he's taken to go 2 for 15 and see if we can find the holy grail of how to get all of these items that are heading in the right direction to get there and be the successful player that he can be in the NBA. It's next on Locked on Jazz. Today's edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. New customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, even who's cutting down the nets. Pick your favorites, got an eye on an underdog, BYU all the way, whoever it might be. Stay in the action when the tournament games happen almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. Easy and fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use. And when you need it, get paid instantly, no waiting around. So go to FanDuel.com and get in on all the college hoops action today. FanDuel Thursday night. This is a Thursday recorded show. Hopefully you watch it on Thursday. This will then make sense to you. Also, Major League Baseball opens up for you right now. But here's the story tonight. Maryland, 6.5 point favorite, or Florida, 6.5 point favorite over Maryland. Texas Tech, 5.5 point favorite against Arkansas. Michigan State, 3.5 point favorite against Ole Miss. Tennessee, a 4.5 point favorite against Kentucky. Auburn, a 9.5 point favorite against Michigan. And Houston, a 7.5 point favorite against Purdue. Where's the BYU game? Is it not on the board? Huh. Wonder why. I don't know. Don't see it. Duke is the favorite to win it at plus 220, followed by Florida and Auburn and Houston. Go get into the action at FanDuel. Thanks so much for tuning in to Locked on Jazz today. For your first listen of the day, we are free and available on all podcasting apps, and we have the daily newsletter at lockedondaily.com. Go sign up for Locked on Jazz. All right, here we go. Hopefully I get this right. Oh, can I tell which game is which? This is Cleveland. Okay. This is going to be a little wonky at first, and on audio, I'll make sure I walk you through it. I promise. Okay. Let's see if we can make this big. We can. I think it looks good. All right. Here's Keyonte against Memphis. We're going to go Memphis game first. And we're going to pause before every shot, collectively decide whether we think it's a good shot or not. So he's just checked in the game. There's 5:04. First shot. He gets over on the right-hand side. He pump fakes Desmond Bane. He's pretty open. He's angle left, which is not his best spot, but I'm not going to tell him not to shoot from there. But this is a pretty good look to me. He's pump fake Desmond Bane out of the area. There's only 1.4 on the shot clock. I got to tell you, the amount of times this kid takes a late shot clock shot is incredible. We'll keep an eye on that throughout this because that might be a pass that you give him. So this is a good shot. 100% good shot. No problems asked. Doesn't go in. Sometimes you miss shots. Not a big deal. To the Will Hardy thing of like you either like a shot or you don't. That seems like a good shot. Okay. Next time down. Comes off right to left on a handoff from Shibwe. There's 10 seconds on the shot clock. He wiggles to his left. Now he retreats back out. Comes off the Shibwe pick. Zach Edey's dropping. Great pick by Shibwe. Kills his man. He steps into the jumper to his right. Pretty open. Doesn't look like there's a lot of room for penetration. Kennard's really sagged in. Steps into the three. I'm going to go good shot. I got no problem with this shot as well. Buries it. Buries it. Okay, he's 1 for 2. Open the night. Shot 2 threes. Here he's got playing pick and roll with Walker Kessler. Edey's up now at the top of the three line. Top of his feet are there. Playing a little bit, possibly playing 2 for 1. There's 36 seconds on the clock, so let's be aware of the surroundings. Decent pick. He comes off the pick. This one I don't love as much. Edie is committed to him. Walker, he has come off it so fast that Walker hasn't got a chance to roll. Sensabaugh's in the left corner. They're sagging off him pretty hard. I feel like if you engage Edie with a dribble here, Walker rolls, you're going to have Bryce Sensabaugh wide open in a corner three. So I don't love this shot nearly as much, I'll be honest. And his feet are nowhere near, if you just look at his feet in this picture, his feet are square. Usually his right foot's ahead. This is a very different shooting motion than he's had in other shots this year. This one, he is not ready to shoot at all. It's a break. That's a bad shot. If he's going to get rid of his nights, his 41% of his nights below 33%, I think that's one he's got to get. That's one. Now he's 1 for 2. Now it's 2 for 1. He may have felt rushed. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Here we are, transition, 3:13 left, second quarter. He's back in the ball game. He rises in transition. There's a guy pretty close to him, but I'm going to go back to the fact he's the 10th best three-point shooter in transition in the NBA. I don't hate this. It's a little contested. It's not a wide open transition three. I think guys probably could have created something else. I'm not going to get that nitpicky. We're fine. But now he's 1 for 4. Okay, so now we're 1 for 4. Get some shots that are good shots. This is where, and this is honestly the shot that has made me do this, because this is the shot that got me on the air the other night. There's a timeout. There's 9:15 left in the third quarter, and Keyonte checks into the game. Okay, so Will has benched whoever started, probably Cody, and Keyonte has checked into the game with 9:15 in the third in a 4-point game. He's 1 for 4. He's been on the floor for 0 seconds. Walker Kessler gets the inbound, gets it from Isaiah. Keyonte pops out. He has been on the floor for 3 seconds. And he takes what I would call a heavily contested 3-point shot, angle left with a defender all over him, 5-out spacing, a pump fake and drive, and you're on top of the cup. I think this is a horrendous shot. Honestly, this is the kind of shot that if you could be coach of like a high school team, I think you take him right out of the game. But you can't do that in the NBA. But to me, this is a heavily contested three. You've been on the floor for literally 2 seconds. You're now 1 for 5. And your teammates might hate you. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I just think that is such a bad shot. Okay. He now gets it again, left. He drives 1 step left. He has Huff on him, who's their center. He backs out to take a 3. There's 8 on the shot clock. Huff's not that close to him. It's angle left. It's moving backwards. I think this is a crazy hard shot. These NBA players are great. And Steph and James Harden and some of these guys can do this. But to me, I think you're now 1 for 5. We have it. This is a crazy hard shot. To me, at least. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe an NBA player, this is not a big deal, that you're 17 feet in, you dribble backwards twice, and then rise up for a 3, and Huff's pretty much on top of him. And you miss again. You're now 1 for 6. This is, to me, all those positive signs. Better going to the free throw line. Better off the bounce shooting. Better pick and roll play. There's so many things that are going right for this guy right now. He's making such progress. This, to me, is the holy grail of Keyonte. Can you get better, more fundamental shots that have a chance to go in? You're just killing yourself. I think those last 2 shots are 20% shots. Okay, now he's angle right. He's 1-4. There's 8 on the shot clock. There's terrible spacing on the floor. I don't know what we're doing. Collins hanging out at the free throw line and his defenders in the lane. Sensabaugh's pointing at Collins and saying, "Where are you going?" And there's terrible spacing. Okay, so this may not be Keontae's fault entirely. He drives on Wells. And he tries to get through, and he's got nothing, and he gets just swatted, and he gets evaporated inside of the Memphis defense and gets his shot blocked by Huff. It doesn't get 2 inches off his hand. I don't know, this is one where Will talks about this all the time, and I would love to sit down with Will and understand this, but where is the decision point where he's got to get out of this? Because he doesn't ever get an advantage on the drive. He takes a big step in the lane. He's off balance. Wells is defending perfectly. He's in just a world of hurt. Now, Collins not helping him at all because Collins not in the corner where he's supposed to be. And Bryce is, I don't know if someone's supposed to circle behind him or what, but he seemingly has no outlet either. So to Keyonte's defense here, this is a disaster, but I don't know how he gets out of that one, other than maybe not drive in the first place. Okay, now there's 3.7 seconds left in the third. He forces a shot up because it's at the end of the buzzer. No big deal. That just doesn't go in. It was actually a really good effort and fabulous. And he's hugging the basketball stanchion because he's 1 for 8. And then he gets a late shot clock shot here. Beautiful. Or that's the end of the first. That's it. So that's his night. So that is suddenly Keyonte George's night against the Memphis Grizzlies. And he walks out with one of his 41% of his nights in which he ends up shooting below 33%. The first shot's fine. The second one was okay. Then it just kind of went wacky to me. And I don't know if this is maturity or understanding because the package is all there. It's all there for Key. All of it's there. But it does seem as though those are the shots that are leading him to having this many poor shooting nights. And if he can just find a way to find the shot, like what he doesn't seem to have there is, okay, I'm off. What's the shot I'm going to go take? What am I going to do to get myself back on? Like he tried to drive. Does he have this is where maybe having a pull-up mid-range jumper at times is helpful. What is the shot that can get me back on track? That transition 3 might be it to him. That was a little contested, but it wasn't terrible. All right. So we're going to look at Cleveland next. It's another 1 for 9. This one, you're going to see that, like, okay, he gets handed a pile of flaming you-know-what on a bunch of occasions against Cleveland. You can see it's there, though. It's so close. This might just be the natural development of a second-year player, and he comes back next year as a third-year player, and you wonder, well, why did he go from shooting 40 to 44%? And how come he just went from 35 to 37%? And how come because he gets rid of some of this. That's the exciting part about this, the possibility of what he could do. So let's look at Cleveland. Let me make sure it looks right. It does. So here's Cleveland. And I think this feels weird that this is his first shot. Give me 1 second, make sure. We're not. I knew that wasn't right. Now we're on his first shot. Okay. So 5 on the shot clock. He gets a pile of flaming you-know-what in this game. Okay. There's going to be a lot of giving passes here. So 5 on the shot clock. Walker's sitting in the middle of the paint. I can't imagine that's where Walker's supposed to be spaced. Collier's lifted, but he's not a good shooter. So Isaac Okoro's sitting at the free throw line. Far side, Cody Williams is open. They're not guarding him. Dean Wade's literally standing in the paint. And Bryce Sensabaugh's on the right side. And Keyonte George has the ball with 6 seconds on the clock, trying to figure out where he's going to go. And he literally has a forest of players. So he's dancing on Garland. He tries to pull into a little floater. It's a mess. I'm not putting that on him. Okay. The spacing was terrible. The shot clock's winding down. He had no chance. Might have rather had a pullback 3 there. Okay. Second quarter, 3:29 left. He plays a little pass game with a great look. He comes off a right to left exchange with Isaiah Collier. Walker probably was going to go set a pick for him. Is now kind of standing in the way a little bit, but it's all right. He's wide open. Garland's a million miles behind him. Perfect look. Great. Fundamentally great. Buried it. That's terrific. By the way, we're stopping this before he takes shots, and we're choosing whether it's a good look or a bad look. And so far on the 2 shots he's made, they've been great looks. And on the shots that he's missed, a lot of times we're like, it's telling. Here we go. 1:56 left, third quarter, 1-point game. Keyonte comes down, same exact play. This time off Donovan. He shakes Donovan. He touches Hunter in the back. He comes out to the left side. He's pretty darn open. He's got his feet set. Donovan's not really defending him at all, but he hesitates. Honestly, the minute you hesitate, do something else. I swear the shooting percentage in the NBA, when you hesitate, and this is just probably experience and time. He's open. He's got space. He should just rise into this jumper. Maybe his feet weren't right. I don't know what prevented him, but he jabs. Now Donovan's on him. Then he shoots it. Now it's not a good look. He missed it. He had it. So we're 1 for 3 now. Now we're in the third quarter, down 23. Gets to the top on a Jared Allen one-on-one. I don't love these plays, by the way. I just want to say isolation against 7-foot center and perimeter, I actually think is a bad play. Most 7-footers can move now and do what they're doing. Jazz spacing is actually pretty good on this one. Keyonte dances, pulls into a angle left 3. Allen's all over him, 11 on the shot clock. I'm going bad luck. Didn't gain an advantage. Better off driving and kicking here. Bring Allen with you. Get him off the rim. Make Garland come in to hit Sensabaugh. Make Wade hit Juzang. Million other choices to this one. Don't like this look at all. Allen's all over him. Angle left where he's not great. Missed. Okay, we're now 1 for 4. 2-man game with Clarkson, right side of the floor. Gets Dean Wade guarding. Dean Wade is a good defender. I know he's 6'9", and I understand that he's like stereotypes say not. There is 8.3 seconds left in the quarter. Shot clock is off, so I'm going to give a little bit of a defense here. But he drives, and there's a defender standing right in front of him. I think it's Ty Jerome. Like immediately, he drives right on Wade, and there's a defender swiping at him. I freeze the screen for those of you on YouTube. There's zero chance he's getting anywhere productive on this. He slides through. He actually beats his man because Jerome leaves on a pretty nifty move. Wade reaches in from behind and blocks it. I actually got to give Keyonte credit. He read that, but I do think he could have gotten off of it. It's a block shot by Wade. It was a pretty darn good play by Wade, who's a really good defense player. Key had a really good first step there. Call it a wash. Late second quarter. Again, we're now down by a lot. He's playing point guard. Isaac Okoro's guarding him. Was a pretty darn good player, and they don't actually show us this 3, so we'll move to the next play. Jump pass by Collier to Keyonte. He's guarded pretty tightly, but he does just move right into the shot. Again, 2.4 seconds on the shot clock. Not a great look. Not his fault. This is where you're going to see he gets shot clock hit. He misses. Not his fault. Problem is, when you're 1 for 4, 1 for 5, and then you get hit with that, you're now 1 for 6. Keyonte dancing right side on Garland, going one-on-one, 3.4. This is the first quarter. 3.4 in the shot. That's it, because we missed that one shot. It's just close. There's so much to like about the progress he's making. It feels so close. It's just, to me, and maybe I'm wrong on this, and it's just a development, it's the 2 or 3 shots a night that are 20% shots that then take you from going take you to 1 for 7 instead of 3 for 7. You're not going to make all of them, but honestly, you've got to find a way to be 3 for 7 instead of 1 for 8. I don't know. We'll see. I thought it was interesting. You go back and look at his 2 for 15 the last 2 games. I just don't think he's that bad. And I go look at a bunch of stuff that's going on there. I get pretty excited about the progress. But we've got to find a way to get rid of the 41% of games that are 33% or below. All right, Houston comes to town. Houston's really interesting. Here's the question on Houston. Are they for real? They're the 24th ranked half-court team in the league. Their offensive shooting, I believe, if you look at non-blowout minutes on cleaning the glass, their effective field goal percentage so basically, this is not even first shot action. This is just overall, is 26 in the NBA. They garner 36% of their offensive rebounds. That's how they live offensively. They're shooting 52.1 effective field goal percentage while still getting 36% of their offensive rebounds, which leads to getting their second shot. I don't think you can be a playoff team doing that successfully. They're the second best offensive team or third best offensive team in the league. They're the second best team defending a shot. They're going to be a beast defensively, but the teams are going to play in the playoffs can handle that. Their half-court offense ranks 25th in the NBA. They get in transition a ton, and they get putbacks a ton. And that's how they live and survive. Can you really live in that way in the playoffs? I don't think so. So they're great. They've made a major step. I don't see this as a playoff team that impacts people. In fact, I see it as this number 2 seed in the Western Conference right now. Amazingly, they've went on this great win streak. It's crazy impressive. And I see them as being incredibly vulnerable in the first round of the playoffs to whoever gets them, which gets really interesting right now. Because right now, 7-8 is the Warriors and the Wolves. And if you gave me the Wolves against the Rockets in the first round of the playoffs, I'm taking the Wolves. And if you give me the Warriors, I'm probably taking the Warriors. And then the next question is Denver the 3 seed? And Minnesota gets Denver. Minnesota owns Denver. And somehow Minnesota's second in the West. And this is where I keep coming back to. That is Locked On Jazz today. Love your thoughts and your comments on the YouTube section, our community posts as well. Or hit me on X at DLock09. We'll do an Ask LOJ edition tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the program. If you haven't followed me on socials, please do it, DLock09. Haven't signed up for the newsletters, please do it, LockedOnDaily.com. And if you follow the show, follow. It's free every day. Hit the bell button on YouTube and get notified now. We send you the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel, Locked On NBA. Plus, on Locked On NBA audio, it's game night. Every game, every night. Check it out.